Howdy folks, it's your friend Fishing with Dom, and today I am not going to do a rod and reel review. I'm not going to tell you my thoughts and feelings. I'm going to share a couple of stories based off of what I've had sitting next to me this entire time for the past couple of months while I've been filming these videos in my bedroom, otherwise known as the studio. Since I started fishing roughly 10 years ago, every so often I'd have a special bait that would mean something to me. And what I'd do with it? I'd hang it up on my windowsill. That's right over there. And I've realized I've got a little collection of probably 7 or 9 lures that have just been chilling up there for the past couple of years. And I feel it is time that they get recognized for why they are up there and what they really mean to me. And I'm going to give you the date, give you the story behind when I caught these fish, and put it in chronological order for you. Start things off right. Nothing simple. Or nothing crazy complex. Very, very simple bait right here. This is the Cotton Cordell Walleye Divers. I got this at a garage sale for free because I told the guy how much I liked fishing. And orange has always been my favorite color. It's got this gold underside, these 2 treble hooks, probably 2.5-inch long body, and this sharp bill to it. My first real fishing trip I went on with one of my mom's friends, I was doing this a lot, and I caught a couple of smallmouth bass, a couple of really big rock bass, and I actually caught my first muskie with this bait that same day. It was the only day I ever fished with this bait, just because, I caught a lot of fish. This bait means a lot to me from my childhood. This is what helped start it all, and I'm thankful I still have it, definitely. So I was fishing in this harbor on Lake Huron, and we're just casting around the slips. This was earlier in the summertime before it was littered with sailboats and yachts. And the water was kind of stained. It wasn't clear, it wasn't dark, but I could just see it barely swim through the water. I remember I cast it up towards the main dock, and I'm seeing it come back to me, and I'm watching its orange body shim back and forth, back and forth. Then the next thing I know, it goes missing. And I'm like, it's gone. I don't see it anymore. So I set the hook. And then right where it went missing in the water, I see the glare. I see the side of this 42-inch muskie. He wasn't big, but for a kid in middle school who went out and wanted to catch a muskie, to catch one and remember the exact moment where that crankbait disappeared, I saw it happen. This Cotton Cordell will always mean something very, very special to me. Not a lot of people fish with these baits anymore. They seem kind of flimsy. I don't care. This bait always have a place in my heart. Yeah, that was a nice muskie I caught. This is the era right when cell phones were starting to become readily available, but not everybody had a good camera on their cell phone. Didn't get a picture of the muskie. And this was 2007 or so. Not too long after that, I went and hung out with one of my good friends. And this is more of a collectible piece. I caught a few fish with it. This is the Rapala Weedless Minnow Spoon. It just, I think it's a cool looking bait. I caught a few pike with it until I decided, these aren't so common anymore. Even in saltwater areas, they don't make these. They don't make these anymore. These are rather difficult to find. I'm willing to bet this. It's definitely older. It's actually the older shade of Fire Tiger, too. It's got that extra orange bottom and that lighter green to the top by the black. Got a few pike with it. They don't make it anymore. This is more of a collectible than it belongs on the Wall of Fame, in my opinion. But it's up there. So what? I've caught fish with it. That was fun. If I make it down to the Gulf of Louisiana, I'm definitely going to throw it and try to catch a redfish. Just because, why not? If I'm going to lose this lure, I'm going to lose this lure on something it was meant for. Catching big bull redfish in Louisiana. Next up. When I started getting big into crankbaits, probably, really big into crankbaits and bass fishing, probably around 2009, 2010, started collecting them. Hot and heavy, fast and furious. I'd buy a lot of crankbaits that I liked. And Rapala came out with the Klacken series, and shortly after their original Klacken wrap, the lipless crankbait came out, they started putting bills on them. They don't make these anymore. And I have quite the stockpile, but this is one I won't fish with anymore because it was not only the first one I bought, this one caught me several incredible bags of fish. Nice square bill bait, had this very, very solid wobble to it as it swam through the water. That stainless steel BB and drum does some serious work. It calls fish in. And then if you look at the build right there, it's all fogged up just because, I put this bait to the test. I definitely got my money's worth out of it. At the time, I believe this is maybe a $10 bait, which was expensive 7 years ago for a crankbait. Now it seems like, good crankbait costs you at least that. But this is worth its weight in gold. On my home lake, I'd say I caught several 20-pound. Like my best 5 fish would have went 20 pounds, and that's a good Bassmaster day. Let alone a good day of bass fishing. Period. Caught some big pike with it. Caught some very, very nice walleye with it. Very, very nice springtime bait. My heart was broken when they discontinued it, and I started collecting more and more every time I went to Gander Mountain, and they had these sitting in the bins. But if you look closely at the back, you don't even have to look closely at the back. Just look at all that chipped paint from the top of it. Now, I talked to Rapala, and I asked them if this SureSet hook could have done that damage, and they said not without catching a lot of fish. And they pretty much told me, yeah, that could have happened if the lacquer is damaged enough by teeth marks. Which I'd say it definitely has some work to it because a lot of these scratched points, a hook can't even touch when it's swimming through the water, and I don't bring all my crankbaits out when I go fishing. It's not like a different bait could have done it to it, but oh man, caught a lot of fish with this bait. Caught a lot of fish on the bait caster with it. Caught a lot of fish year round with it. But springtime squarebill really showed up and showed out. Probably never gonna fish with this one again unless I'm on my deathbed. Solid bait. I'm gonna miss it. Older lure. Actually didn't belong to me. Belonged to my buddy Jared, and we were walleye fishing the Michigan Walleye Trail on the Saginaw River, and we were trolling, a few different body baits, a few different banana baits. This Rapala tail dancer. Notice it's a little bit older. It has the older shade of fire tiger to it. But not old enough to where you have the red gills like some of them do. But this is a cool little story. You wouldn't believe what did this. See, if you look inside the bait right there, you've got the wooden body, and then you got the wire coming out of it down to the treble hook. A sheephead did this. A sheephead is otherwise known as a freshwater jump. We were trolling over by the Battleship in Bay City, Michigan, if you know where that is. And he hit it, and there must have been a weak point in the bait, but it's a couple years old. I couldn't end up getting it replaced, and I figured, hey, caught a fish with it. Looks really, really nice. I got a story to tell because not every day a bait splits open on any fish. That's incredible, and that's kind of scary to think about. Next in line, a Berkley Havoc Pit Boss. I like these pit bosses. You probably know that. But what's so special about this one? It's torn. Why is it torn? I caught my first bass flipping heavy cover. I've caught a lot of bass out of heavy cover, but this one was flipping into some thick reeds and into mats with this bait. And I jacked that hook so hard into him, tore the bait, not even mad about it. I've got a lot of these. And that was a nice fish. That was probably a 18-inch largemouth bass. Very, very solid fish were definitely where I was fishing. I was fishing the Holloway Reservoir, which by no means is a trophy bass lake. And that was a very nice bass for coming out of there. And I was flipping this area. Nobody fishes. Probably 3 feet from shoreline, thick reeds. I'm standing on the dock in town, just pitching into it, and caught a lot of nice rock bass. Caught some little bass after that, but when that bass hit, oh man. I felt like Scott Martin, just pulling him out of the reeds. It was a lot of fun. Got the hook to go along with that, too. That sits up up on the Wall of Fame also. This Trokar TK130. Very, very sharp. If I make it back down south, I'll probably use the hook again. And then to wrap it off, I have... Oh, I still got a couple more baits to talk about. Two baits right here. I have this jig with a worm body on it, and then I have a ice fishing bait. This is the... oh, my buddy Matt Peterson makes these lures. I forgot what they were called. But this is just a little ice fishing spoon. Has the lead nicked off of it. It had a glass chamber where there was a bead inside of it to make extra noise. All that broke off because one day we caught probably 80 white bass with this lure alone, and just over the wear and tear, the paint was coming off. It was getting dinged up against rocks. Not all this damage was done by fish, but it was caused from a good day of fishing. So this earned its place on the wall. Next, from the same day I went fishing, this is just a basic jig head with the body of a Berkley power worm. And if you look at it, it's all torn open on the inside. And, you know, when I put this together, it didn't sit like this. It sat probably more like that than anything. It looked like a makeshift Ned rig, but I wanted something that my friend Lucas could easily cast and catch white bass with. And even the metal separated from the lead, so I can just move the lead around the hook a little bit, because we caught a lot of fish with it. It's not a high quality jig, but it'll do that. But caught a lot of fish, a lot of fun right there. Last two. These were two of the jigs that I used when I went walleye jigging the Saginaw River. I figured, you know, what the heck? I pretty much can't use this one anymore unless I cut this gulp minnow off, and it helped me catch a few fish. But then this jig right here, missing all sorts of paint on it. We were jigging super big that day, and caught a lot of walleyes with this bait. So every so often I try to put a bait on the wall from days I'm going to remember for a very, very long time. And these two jigs, the Wally Diver, these silver bass lures, the Pit Boss, the Pit Boss and the Clack and Crank, they're all very special to me. I figured I'd just make this to share that with you. If you have any ideas or suggestions for future YouTube videos or podcasts, or even people you'd like to have me try to interview, let me know in the comments section below. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you for watching Fishing with Dom. Have a great day. Take care.